This is the creator of Linux, Linus Torvalds. I had to go and look at his name. Linus Tech Tips apparently invited him over so they could do a PC build. And I was just waiting to see what is this guy's favorite distro. Because, sure, he's the guy who created Linux and all of that good stuff. But he made mention of a few things in this video that I think is very important for you guys to actually listen to. Coincidentally, a buddy of mine came over this, past weekend. Shout out to my buddy AE for coming in and helping me just set up my, my Linux distro, because he's done a lot of the heavy lifting, figured out a lot of stuff with his own computers and what distros work for a lot of general use. So he set me up, and listen to what the creator of Linux of Linux just said in this video. It's kind of weird. Linus, and there are two of them.
I would hate to step on your Linux installation.
So this is presumably a newer version than whatever I installed last time.
And that's Fedora.
Why Fedora?
They've been very closely aligned to kernel developers. They made things easier. Like Ubuntu very much wanted to be like a consumer-oriented thing. And in the process, when I tried it many, many years ago, they literally made it hard for me to upgrade the kernel.
Now, this may have changed because it appears that, this is stuff that he dealt with even a while back. But listen to, what he says here.
Because that was not their target audience. So I said, yeah, this is not for me, clearly, by design. And at the same time, there are the really tech-oriented ones where...
By the way.
Did you see that? Arch... They just threw Arch under the bus, straight up.
Way?
Yeah.
Really?
It's a
thing.
It's a meme.
Oh.
Yeah. They'll get it.
They'll get it.
They'll get it. I don't. Where you compile your own everything, you compile your own distro. And again, that was not geared for me because I don't care about anything else than the kernel. So the only thing I want to compile is my own kernel. So I want a distro that just installs and just works, and the only thing I will replace is actually the kernel.
Follow-up question to that then.
That's interesting. That he basically was, he was talking about how Fedora was like, just kind of like that, right? And maybe even some new distros have even picked up that same paradigm, unlike, Arch. But this follow-up question is actually pretty cool. Listen to it.
Was on the Reddit was, do you think that the advantage of having a million different distros out there is also a disadvantage for Linux because there's so many options out there?
Right. I mean, I think that fragmentation has been a huge disadvantage over
I agree.
the years. If you're a commercial software developer, you don't have one target, you have multiple targets.
Yep.
And it's
See, ladies and gentlemen, if you're, I see, and this is what really did expose, and I'm going to segue to exactly where it is that I wanted to go. The gaming conversation really did go ahead and overplay their hands in their anti-Microsoft tirade. I get it. You can dislike a big company and all of that stuff, but don't lose your head in the process. It doesn't make any sense. A lot of these folk came out here screaming and shouting and all this stuff, and already you could see it just with the Steam Deck, that there were already limitations. We didn't need to do all this testing. Shout out to the Turk. Shout out to all the people who've done a lot of the testing and, seen what a Linux-based gaming solution looks like. But even people who use Linux, there's still that one or two software, pieces that they're like, man, I would like for this, software to just work on my whatever. We've been trying all this stuff and trying all this to make it work, but it's not working. Why? Because the developers aren't interested in targeting, a plethora of distros to get software to a consumer base that's actually not even that big. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not an insult. It's just what we're seeing, even with gaming. As a developer, right? Where am I gonna find the expertise to compile for Linux? Yes, I'm a pleb baby developer. I am, right? I have a little tiny project I'm working on. There's like a little small little game mode that we even put together. This is all under NDA. But if I said, okay, maybe I want to compile it for Windows, I can compile it immediately. if I want to compile for Linux and get all that stuff going, Unreal Engine does have Linux, compilation and all that, but now I got to go worry about like, okay, what is that going to look like with different GPUs and graphics cards and all that stuff. Now, granted, it shouldn't be too hard, but it then takes away from that, development time and experience and such. So except the teams already have something in place, right, to allow for that, then it's a whole different conversation. Now, if say we were making a project that required, say, online interaction, and we wanted to basically ensure that there was no cheating or no hacks or whatever it is, now we have to go ahead and implement kernel level anti-cheat. And I'm sure you can implement it for Linux and all of that stuff, right? But again, the question is, so how many of them are we going to now have to support? What if one of them's got a bug? What if one of them's got a weird interaction with AMD and another one a weird interaction with Intel, another one a weird interaction with, NVIDIA? Here we go again, right? We're now back where we started with all kinds of different challenges across the board. So I think this was a very interesting response that he gave here.
It's clearly held things back. At the same time, I mean, having the wild, wild west kind of thing has its own advantages, and I think
it does. It definitely does. It's nice to have the Wild West. No, in PC world, these are great things to have. But again, it comes with a cost, right? I mean, think about it. And this is why, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo, this is why all three of them have enjoyed that level of success. Because they were able to lock down, that target for developers, and developers find it easier to throw it on console, get it done for one, and then bam. And now what they're trying to do, what Xbox is trying to do, this is what makes it even scarier for anybody else, is they're trying to make Windows become that. And pretty much what Xbox is trying to do is it's trying to adopt an already existing market of gamers. That's not something you can sell enough consoles to achieve. That's something that you really have to have the infrastructure. And I think this really scared a lot of the people that made them really jump into. They're you got to go use Linux. You got to go use Linux. Well, the one thing Linux doesn't have is something like what he's saying. The one target for developers to go ahead and make their games for. And that's what Xbox is going to do. That's what they've enjoyed. They've had one target on their Xbox consoles. And that one target kept their ecosystem working, and developers still making games for their ecosystem. As much as people were lying about a year ago that, devs are abandoning Xbox, they're not making games for Xbox. Xbox was over there basically stacking developers to the thousands. And now even those games that never were, made for Xbox at the time are now all coming to Xbox. Finding out now that most of them are basically guided by all kinds of weird development deals because, PlayStation wanted them to maybe die by death by 1,000 cuts. But Xbox is not, in that position. They've been selling games on PC. So whatever 1,000 cuts they were putting on them, they were recovering by game and software sales. Keep listening, though.
Open source community has worked very well in this environment. It just hasn't worked for everybody. I think all the major distros are very aware that it's a problem, and they would want to have a more unified distribution, but at the same time they all want that unified distribution to be their unified distribution. So
you see that's, and I've been telling y'all this, it's the money, it's the status quo, the money. How can we monetize it, or how can we actually use it as a gateway to sell services and money? And if the people doing this don't want to collab with the people doing that, because everybody wants to maintain their own thing or get this is where you have the challenge. If there was the money, and the license of Linux is actually something that purposefully undercuts all of that, capitalistic framework, right?
Time the topic of, I want to set up a Linux computer comes up, what should I pick? And I don't think you could find two people that will ever give the same answer.
Look at that, Zorin OS. Yeah, I saw this one the other day. It has a cool UI. I think there's one where you pay $40 for or something. Linux Mint, Elementary, Pop OS, Ubuntu. Bro, as I'm listening to seeing all this, I'm just like, bro, my buddy already tested a ton of these before he ended up at Fedora.
Immediate flame war.
It immediately becomes an argument. So
I think it's part of the open source history too. We've had flame wars over editors. those kind of died out. You have to have something that you believe passionately.
So now that you've said Fedora, though, this is the only one that anyone's ever allowed to install again, right?
Right. Now, when I'm emperor and king of the world,
It will be Fedora.
that will be.
Should we figure out this install thing?
We can try flashing another drive if you want.
I do think that maybe that is updating.
I just can't tell if it's moving.
So then what I'll let you do is
Yeah, do you want to show us how it's done here?
please,
It's your operating system.
by all means.
I mean, this was actually really cool. I mean, from a nerd perspective, or from somebody who appreciates, these kinds of things, I mean, I can't see any way where this is not insightful. But again, you really have to go ahead and talk about, like, okay, these are the advantages, and these are also the disadvantages. And I wish everybody would just come to the table and just, admit this is a disadvantage right now for Linux. It's not that we don't want the options. I like the options. I mean, I'm all about them, right? I'm the guy who likes to put my, like throwing in my hat in the ring when it comes to options if I have the opportunity and the time. So, it's a big deal. But anyways, I'm out of here. Talk to me in the comment section. I appreciate your time and audience. Hopefully talking to another one. Peace out.